Well, anything except the runway. It's Kansai International Airport, now one of Japan's busiest air hubs, handling more than 300,000 passengers a week, open 24 hours a day. Recognized by the world as one of the most incredible engineering marvels of the 20th century, and compared to megastructures like the Hoover Dam and the Panama Canal, Kansai was built 5 kilometers from shore and contains 530 hectares of landfill, making a massive rectangle that's more than 4 kilometers long and 1,200 meters wide. That's big enough to swallow up the entire downtown area of Osaka. Connected to the mainland by the world's longest two-tiered bridge, Kansai welcomes 55,000 planes a year, a unique experience for both pilots and passengers, making what appears to be a liquid landing.
As we approached, first I thought it might be like landing onto the aircraft carrier or something like that, but actually it was not.
The water always looks much closer as you're diving down into the airport, so yeah, that's pretty scary.
At nighttime there's not much visual cue, because there's not much light around other than right at the airport, so they kind of call that a black hole airport.
Building this black hole airport created a real-life parting of the seas and truly was a construction project of biblical proportions. It's the largest public works undertaking of the 20th century, costing a total of $15 billion US, with over 1 million workers putting in 10 million hours of manpower.
I felt like I had been in a battle every day. Would it work out when it was finally done? It works in the drawing, but would it work in reality? That was constantly on my mind, and it was very stressful.
Think that was stressful? Try going to work wearing a hard hat and a life jacket. To pave the way for the textbook landings of today, Japanese engineers had to rewrite the manual on how to build an airport. Kansai airport planner Yasunari Harada has been there since takeoff.
The biggest challenge was to supervise the entire construction and open the airport as scheduled. It was a balance between the engineering for the landfill and the construction on top of that.
And speaking of balance, there was one little problem. Exactly how would the artificial island hold up to all the pressures from above without collapsing into the spongy seabed below? Never before had anyone attempted a massive landfill project, so far from shore and so deep in the water. Both would pose potential problems. Engineering manager Shinya Suzuki.
There is a deposit of clay at the bottom of the sea. It's a layer of very soft clay, and if it keeps sinking after the construction, that could cause some problems for the airport.
Okay, so the bottom of Osaka Bay is made of soft, spongy clay that's likely to sink. Not really the kind of stuff you want to top off with an airport runway. That's more like landing a 360 metric ton jumbo jet on a huge plate of tofu. To solve the squishy problem, Kansai's engineers turned to a new sand draining technique to actually speed up the sinking by sucking the water out of the sand and shoring up the airport's foundation. But would all this talk of settling suck the life out of the project instead? Or was it already on autopilot? Too late to go back to the drawing board?
We've always had faith in our engineering, and that's been a backbone of the project.
Confident in their techniques, Kansai engineers set aside any of their own sinking feelings and moved onward and upward with a plan to beat the sinking by throwing several extra feet of fill on top for good measure. And with that, the 6-year process began. First, an 11-kilometer seawall of concrete blocks outlined the shape of things to come. Think of it as building the lip around the edge of a swimming pool, only this immense enclosure keeps the water on the outside. Then, 80 barges ploughed in, dumping 180 million cubic meters of landfill inside the sea wall. That's enough to build the Great Pyramid of Giza 70 times over. Using the technology of the time, builders monitored and measured the layering of the land, making sure the fill was compacting at an even rate to prevent uneven sinking. And just as the face of the island started to pop out of the water, construction began simultaneously on two major airport landmarks. Kansai's passenger terminal proved to be an architectural conundrum that stumped even the best builders. The terminal had to be light enough to keep settling to a minimum, but what kind of fat-free materials would be strong enough to withstand Mother Nature's frequent visits, bringing typhoons and earthquakes to the area? Enter world-renowned architect Renzo Piano, the guy who gave us France's controversial Pompidou Centre. You know, that brightly coloured building with the insides on the outside. Piano proposed a design that would keep everybody at Kansai happy: engineers, builders, and pooped-out passengers at the gate. His baby? A wing-shaped terminal made of steel and reinforced glass. Exactly 1 mile long, Kansai's signature structure is one of the largest single-room buildings in the world.
You are watching National Geographic Channel.